Unlock the magical world of
CHAZ
and take children on a journey of growth and development, all while having fun. The
CHAZ
is an interactive playhouse bursting with possibilities in sensory stimulation, motor skill, and social skill development that will flourish with your little ones from infancy to childhood. Whether placed indoors or out, your next generation of young learners will be enchanted to explore the vibrant garden of
CHAZ.
with so many things to hear, touch, and see. Best of all, your children will be surrounded by tiny forest friends just waiting to play, truly making it a preschooler's dream. With the
CHAZ.
play is always in bloom.
Sounds like a great place for my child. I'm sure he'll take something away from this experience, like a brand new TV.
Well, how bad can it really be? It began with the George Floyd protests. All across the US, people were taking to the streets, making their voices heard. Never before have we seen such a collective effort to end racism. In fact, we all owe it to the teenage girls who managed to flood Instagram with black squares. This wouldn't be possible without them. But while a good number of people were genuinely trying to make a positive difference, others were there to cause trouble. I'm sure you heard about some of the terrible things that happened. For example, in this clip you can see that there's complete disregard for social distancing. Think about all the high-risk individuals that are being endangered. Come on, guys.
Come on, man.
But anyways, in Seattle, some people decided to set up camp in the city as a form of protest. They built a great, beautiful border wall around the place and declared it their own territory. It was later known as CHAZ or CHOP. Now, you might be thinking, why would the government let them do this? I mean, think about the local residents. Well, it's because homeless people are common in Seattle. Everyone's already used to it. So honestly, what's the difference with CHAZ? And believe me, with all the crazy people we've seen during these riots, no one comes close to beating the residents of CHAZ, except maybe the police. But let's take a look at what this new colony has to offer. Within the first few days of forming, the area went through a renaissance. People were engaging in art, creating music, and teaching one another. Now, I don't know how this is actually going to improve the lives of African Americans, but I can tell you one thing. For the first time, these people were actually working. Great job, guys. In fact, things were going pretty well in the autonomous zone. I mean, they even had an outdoor cinema that played movies about black culture. People also set up a garden to produce food for CHAZ, although it was literally just soil on pieces of cardboard, not really useful for growing plants, especially if you have to deal with homeless people dancing in your garden. But this was actually intentional, because now people will understand what it's like to not have any food, which is obviously a part of black culture. But so far, CHAZ was only surviving because people were willing to donate food. Plus, the city provided them with free porta potties, waste removal, and other services. Think about how weird the situation is. The city is supporting the protesters who are protesting against the city for being too harsh on the protesters. Now, to be fair, the main goal of CHAZ was not to create a new country. It was to show the world that they could perfectly function without the racist police. But there's a problem. Without the police, who's going to enforce the law? And more importantly, who's going to enforce the racism? That was a joke, by the way. Well, the leader of CHAZ, who happens to be a local rapper, took things into his own hands. Why don't we just create our own police? In fact, let's just give out guns to random people. At least they aren't racist. You know, I thought this would be a gun-free zone to protest police brutality. But now, it's a free gun zone. So basically Detroit. And who would have guessed, it only took about a week for the first shooting incident to happen. But hold my beer, because literally the day after this, another shooting took place. And then 2 more occurred in the following week. As a result, 2 African American teenagers were killed. Now, why weren't protesters outraged over this? Don't these Black Lives Matter? Well, it's because CHAZ is a peaceful protest, which means that the shootings must have also been peaceful, so there's nothing to worry about. But unfortunately, the Seattle government had enough. In the end, the occupied zone of CHAZ only lasted 3 weeks. But during that time period, crime in the area skyrocketed by 525%. By far, that's the most impressive thing they've accomplished. But as of today, you can still find occupied zones in Seattle. They're typically called homeless camps. But anyways, I'm sick and I'm tired of this place. It's time for me to go home.